Welcome to Health Diaries with Sidin Dune. And you know what? I always tell you, you are my friend. And here we are today. I am talking with amazing guests. They are very lovely ladies. I know, guys, you will love them. And you know what? We are having an interesting topic. So we are about to dive in. Join in and sit till the end. I know this is a very important learning experience. Yeah. I have on my left Mudoni, and on my right I have on my right Pauline. Yeah, and welcome guys, karibuni sana. Welcome to Health Diaries with CD. So you're going to tell me about who you are so that the viewer can actually get to know you and to learn from you as as you're moving. Yeah. Karibu sana. Let's start with you, Mudoni. How are you, Mudoni?
I am fine, thank you. Thank you for having me today. Yeah, I'm Muthoni. I do mental health. That's what I love doing. Yeah.
Wow. And here.
Hi guys, my name is Pauline Wangoi. I am a co-host at Safe Space Podcast. I am a psychology student and a mental health enthusiast. Also, thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, I'm honored to be here.
So before we go further, guys, I want you to know that they have a podcast. Mudoni and Pauline have a podcast known as Safe Space Podcast, and it is premiering on YouTube, and you can also see some snippets on TikTok. I'll put the handles there so that you can be able to follow their content, because whatever they are sharing, it's mind blowing. I tell you, it's mind blowing. So, and before even we forget, it is important to note that Mudoni and Pauline are psychology students. They study psychology in the University of Moi University rather. Yeah, and yeah, here they are in Health Diaries. I said, why not bring them? Because guys, I care about you, right? Yeah. So Mudoni, and Pauline, what really made you to go for mental health? Why mental health? Why not drugs? Why mental health?
Well, that's a very interesting question. You asked why mental health, why not drugs? At some point, actually, drugs is also part of mental health, right? So, as you had said earlier, we are psychology students, so we study mental health. That is our business. And I'd say we focused on mental health apart from being psychology students also because right now in the world we're living in this era, I feel like after COVID, people really had to go into mental health, and mental health all of a sudden become an issue. It became an issue in the society. And so yeah, we thought, why not use our knowledge that we're getting in school to educate people and to help people, to make people aware of these issues that they're going through. Because to be honest, mental health is not giving that much concentration. Not like, sorry to say, but like, you see how FGM is really totally talked about loudly. We feel like mental health also needs to be given that space and that chance. People need to learn, to be taught about it in schools, at workplaces. So yeah, we're filling in the gap and educating people more on it.
Mudoni, I'm coming right to you. Mudoni, have you ever been in a space or in a place where you can say you have had a mental health challenge?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I can say there was a time I was struggling with social anxiety. It was so hard. Okay, watu wengi wanaweza kuwa underestimate, but it's a very serious case. It was a very serious case because I couldn't talk in public. I couldn't express who I am. I used to hide. So to overcome social anxiety, I had to go through the steps like exposure therapy, reality, coming into reality, who I am. Yeah, and having goals, setting goals. Yeah, it really inspired me. Yeah, that was me with social anxiety.
Now that you've mentioned about social anxiety, I know this is a term maybe my viewer may not have maybe knowledge on, because I believe not everyone knows exactly what is social anxiety. Could you just like give us a little information on that?
So, social anxiety, I understand social anxiety as maybe fear of going to public because you fear you might be judged, you fear you might embarrass yourself, you fear that you might get harassed. That is simply all about social anxiety. Then you end up isolating yourself out of all the fears that are in your mind that may not be true at sometimes, and maybe might be true, but most of them are just irrational thoughts. Yeah.
Now that you today, the topic we're discussing, my lovely viewer, is on mental health awareness among men, and June being a mental health awareness among men, it's a very important topic to look into or dive into. And before we even go into that, I want us to understand what exactly is mental health, because I know for a viewer it could be a jargon. The word could be a jargon. There's someone maybe who amesikia lakini bado hajaradanisha ni nini haswa. So Pauline, can you please tell us what is this mental health?
Okay, so according to me, I think I'd explain mental health as whatever happens in your mind, whatever leads to your actions, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, that is mental health. What led you there? You see, so like in psychology, we have very many reasons or factors that lead to this mental health. For example, we have a very, very, very popular theory. We say when you get into psychology, you have to know Sigmund. Sigmund has to be your friend because Sigmund is our father. So Sigmund explains that mental health literally starts from your childhood, from when you're born, how you were raised, because most of the issues that many adults face while growing up, so like she has talked about anxiety, depression, maybe low self-esteem, when you dig deeper, it really stems from how they were raised. So mental health starts there. It starts from, were you affirmed while little? Were you reassured? Did you grow up being loved by the society? Were you abandoned? Were you not abandoned? And how did that affect you as a person? How did that affect you while growing up? How does it affect till today how you behave, how you interact with others, your feelings, your emotions, how do you control them? How do you carry yourself? Yeah, that is mental health. Most people may not see it, and it may occur and it may reflect or just showcase itself positively or negatively. Yeah, I think that's what I understand mental health as.
That's a powerhouse. I mean, that information loaded. I mean, that's really, really quite a lot of information, which I hope my lovely viewer you have been able to grasp that. So now, when you're talking about mental health with regards to men, especially let's look at men in the African society. There are men all over the world, from Asia, from Australia, but let us dive back to the men or where we are coming from, our black men, the men of color. You see, in an African setup, Mudoni and Pauline, you see that a man is told to be stoic, to not show feelings. You know, you're told to be a man, hakuna kulia, mwanaume ni kung'ang'ana. And do you feel that let's say experience has effects on their mental health as men?
So, about that, thank you for that question. About men in the societies where we come from, especially in Africa, boys have been raised, or rather, men have been raised to keep their feelings to themselves. They're not allowed to cry. Like, ukipata mwanaume saya analia huko, okay, mbona analia? You're supposed to be the man. You're not supposed to be crying. They end up having vitu kama PTSDs. PTSDs is post traumatic stress disorder. Maybe that person or that young child, that young boy aliexposiwa to a traumatic event akiwa mdogo. So out of, I can't even express myself, maybe he was neglected akiwa as a child, maybe he didn't have a mother or a dad growing up. They end up having PTSDs, and ina manifest akishakuwa mkubwa. Maybe you find that guy trying to use drugs as a coping mechanism. You might also find them not being able to stay in one relationship because how do I go about this? I come from a family where I wasn't allowed to express myself. How am I even going to express my feelings to a stranger? Or even they end up isolating themselves. Like Erickson says that during age 18 to 40, we are supposed to be having intimacy and isolating ourselves. If I'm not being intimate, maybe with my friends or my romantic partner, I'm isolating myself. So you find, if I didn't express myself nikiwa mdogo, I end up isolating myself. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's a very, very like interesting thing to look at. They can have PTSD. I'm learning new terms, guys. Yeah. And so when you're looking at the men, do you feel that let's say much can be done on how to cope with the challenges they face, for example kama hiyo PTSD ama hata even depression ama like all other challenges? Do you feel that there is a way men can actually cope with whatever is happening around them?
Yes, there's always a solution to every problem. And I feel like for men, now that, as she has said, men are taught how not to express themselves. And that's why you're seeing right now people are complaining, most ladies are complaining, oh, men are so nonchalant, oh, men are so avoidant, they don't like talking to us, you see. But how will they talk to us if the society has taught them not to express themselves? That is where avoidance comes from. That is where nonchalance comes from. They were not taught how to express themselves. Rarely men feel they have safe spaces where they can talk about how they feel or what makes them feel, they can't cry because they've been taught by the society to wear this armor. You can't cry, you have to be strong. And real life, it's not about hiding pain, it's about facing the pain. So when they're taught not to face it, that's how they'll grow. You won't know when a man is stressed. You won't know when a man is going through a lot because it's just tell you it's fine or just leave me alone. You get, but they can't express themselves. And so I feel like the society needs to create a space where men are allowed to talk about how they feel. You see, when they talk about brotherhood, it's supposed to be a brotherhood that is past football discussions, a brotherhood that is past, oh, you chased a girl, she rejected you. It's supposed to be a brotherhood that is talking about what is happening, why are you feeling this way, or what has happened throughout the week. It's supposed to be a brotherhood where they heal themselves. It's supposed to be a brotherhood where the men come together and talk heart to heart. Let's express ourselves. Also, I think we can also change that from how we bring them up. Like I told you, mental health starts from childhood, right? So when you bring up a child, teaching them to say, I love you too. You see this trend on TikTok where men are calling their friends to tell them good night. Kwa wazungu, they are calling and it's a normal thing. But kwa Africa, and that's where it comes. It's toxic masculinity that is stemming from toxic societal expectations. You understand? So while raising them, you need to teach them that it's not a must for you to be this toxic. You can tell each other I love you. You can express yourself. Teach them from a place of love. Urana, teach them that men can also accept flowers. They can smell flowers. They can, teach them from a place of love. I think, yeah, just please tone down or narrow down the toxic masculinity or the toxic expectations and teach them it's okay to feel your emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay, even if you're isolating yourself, it's okay to talk to a therapist. Because if they don't, it will lead to cases of suicide or, yeah. But the statistics show that most suicidal acts are men. Men fall into suicide. And also, as a therapist, we can say that when we are talking, ukipata ati mwanaume anaenda kwa therapist, trust me, hakuenda juu alikuwa na depression. Mostly alienda juu ya addiction, because that is where now they turn to drug abuse. And now when they start abusing drugs, they become addicted. And only when they become addicted and now the society notices they are addicted, ndio sasa watajua kuwapeleka kwa therapist. But before they were addicted, no one noticed because they did not express it. You understand? And if you see a man in therapist, it's either he was forced or something happened to him. So yeah, I feel like it's a really broad topic, and it's a topic that it needs to be talked about hata kwanza in these high schools where it's only men's boarding schools. Yeah, I feel like therapists, people need to go there and create awareness there, because many traumas come from there. I know so many people can relate. They have so many traumas that stemmed from boarding high schools. So yeah.
You know, Pauline, when you mentioned about that TikTok trend that I remember there's a video I saw yesterday night, and this guy was calling his friend, and he was like, "Bro, nimekuota, alafu like for real, nimekuota, and then nikaamua nikupigie simu nikuambie." And then you know the friend now who was being called, he was so furious. He got really like abusive. The words he used, I can't maybe use them here, but then he really he got pissed off, and then he was like, you are turning this to be into gayism. And I looked at it, I was like, but I think in Africa guys have not normalized to be telling each other I love you. You see, like for us ladies, maybe when you're growing up your mother can tell you I love you, but then it's very rare you find a father and a son telling each other I love you. It's in very few homes, maybe countable to say that. But I think personally, not only I think my viewer is learning, but I also feel there's something I really loved. You said we should be intentional, especially when you say that let's say that mental health started like from your childhood. So even when I'll have my kids, and if God blesses me with a son, definitely I'll be very intentional. Nasikia viewer, intention. Tackle very intentional, and you should be intentional even with the men around you, like how they relate with each other. Lakini sasa nyinyi wasee wa TikTok, najua mtaview hii video, please when a guy akikuletea maua that is not gayism. Mesikia sitaki kutaja majina lakini ni sawa. Si gayism, but I mean men should learn to embrace love. It's a hard society. You have to work. Girlfriend anataka pesa, sijui nani anataka nini. You're working, it's extra and all of that, and you have to be this strong guy. Yeah, but then I think you should learn to embrace nini. What is it?
Just embrace the masculinity.
Oh, yeah, embrace it. And so, guys, we are about to wind up. And before we wind up, let's get some parting shots from these beautiful ladies. So, umesikia kuna kwenda therapy, embrace the love, get knowledge, and then I think even our school curriculum pia inafaa join hiyo, like bring ikuwe normal, like for psychologists you should be visiting. Well, in fact you guys even should write a book for real. Yeah, you should write a book because we need this knowledge out there. You know, one day you're going to be parents, and even for the parents who are like parents and they have kids and they're in school, and you see it's true that a lot of things are stemming up in a man's life from boarding school, drugs, you see gayism and all of that. Like a lot of things are happening. It's just that some things maybe are not really talked about, but here on Health Diaries tutaziongelea pia. But then I mean you should really like write a book, and then I feel even people can, like, you can get the support, me even also getting this giving you support whenever necessary to go and speak to high school, like boys high schools, where they can be able to talk and share, you know, because maybe some people are like that, the way we say nonchalant, because they have not had that experience ya kushare, na hata mwingine hajui kama ako na shida. Unajua mara nyingine mtu anadhani niko sawa, lakini kumbe msi yuko sawa na behave weird. Ni ile tu maybe mtu mabroko like bro ni hivyo football ni nini, but then nothing after that. Yeah, so you should write a book, think about it. Yeah, but then you can also give us a parting shot. What are you going to tell a young man who is viewing you there concerning mental health? What do you want them to know?
To that young man who is watching me right now, I'd love to say that you are valued. We value you. We love you so much, and it's okay to. That's your past experience. Know that you are self-aware that I have PTSDs from this family. They did not embrace me for who I am. The society told me to be strong inside. The society also told me not to cry. The society didn't teach me how to express myself. It's okay. But now that you know, it's okay to talk about how you're feeling. It's okay to embrace your feelings. It's okay to keep track of your emotions, and it's also okay to talk about it. Kuna some of the support groups that we have out there. For example, for drug addicts after wametoka rehab, we encourage them to join maybe Narcotic Anonymous or Alcoholic Anonymous. They are support groups where they get to share, like tumekuwa tukideal na addiction, how do we go about it? We share the same experiences. So out there, we can also come up with those groups where they get to share how they are feeling. Yeah, and I feel it will help.
I remember when I was getting to see who you are, like doing my research hapa na pale. Yeah, I remember in one of your videos you said that you have an app called Safe Space. Is this no?
Yeah, I have also mental health with Mudoni.
There's an app you said that you go. You have. Yeah, can you like talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. So there's this app I have on my phone. I just got it. I don't know where. I guess on Instagram, Nikki Scroll, and then it's about psychological facts. It talks about like how psychology is, the psychology of you. How are you? It also affirms you every day. It keeps okay. Inakwanga na the notifications. It keeps on popping on my phone. I read and then I'm like, oh wow, yeah.
Oh, I just remember that, and I saw like that's a very interesting thing, and because I mean that's the first time I've ever encountered even such an app. But then you see, there's also one thing I'd like to share before even I give Pauline the mic. I have a nephew, and I really love him. I really love him genuinely. And then one thing that really makes me love him the more is every time he does something and then amesha accomplish kitu amefanya ameshinda, he's like, I did it, and I'm like, oh, you're so cute. He's a young boy, so I'm like, you're so cute. And I think that is one thing that even men should learn, even if you'll not say it like I did it like mbele ya watu, but then you'll tell yourself inside, I did it, I managed to maybe go for that interview, I managed to do this or that. Yeah. So Pauline, what are your parting shots?
As you part the discussion, I would say, I'd love to tell men that you don't lose your masculinity when you feel. You don't lose your masculinity when you allow yourself to feel, or when you act on your emotions. You don't lose your masculinity when you cry. You don't lose your masculinity when you feel like you isolate yourself. You're actually reclaiming your humanity, because crying does not mean you're weak. It does not mean that you're now helpless. It just means that you're feeling. You're allowing yourself to be human, because we're human and we're allowed to feel. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be stressed as a man. So just create a safe space for yourself or other brothers, where you can all express yourself freely, and where you can be yourself wholly, and where they can understand you wholeheartedly. And yeah, create a safe space, and create a home in yourself, that you are who you are, and accept yourself for who you are. As a man, when you tell men, we as ladies, when you tell men that we affirm yourself, we do affirmations. They think that's a ladies thing. I don't think so. You can also go look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're handsome. I am who I am.
Your best.
Hata kama sina ndevu, I am who I am. Hata kama niko na kipara, I am. Even if I have a soprano, you are who you are. And yeah, we embrace all of you. We appreciate you. We value you. And yeah, we can't live without men. We need you. So take care of yourself and be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. It starts with you. We create a safe world, create a safe space. When you create a safe space within yourself, you create a safe space within others. Also, talking of safe space, please check out our podcast, Safe Space Podcast. Listen, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for having me here today.
Karibu sana. So, my lovely viewer, as you have heard, Mudhoni and Pauline are hosts of Safe Space podcast. You can find them on YouTube, and you can also tell us your TikTok account
For our podcast,
Yes.
it's still the same. You can follow me personally. I can be your personal psychologist, But also follow me on all the socials at Pauline Wangoi, Paula Wangoi on Instagram, Paula Wangoi on TikTok, Paula Wangoi on YouTube. Also follow our social media platforms on all our podcast platforms. Sorry, I don't know what I said there. But yeah, our podcast platforms is Safe Space Podcast on YouTube, Safe Space Podcast on TikTok, and we're opening an Instagram page soon, Safe Space Podcast. Thank you.
So guys, you have heard it from the people themselves, the psychologists in the room, guys. We'll give them a clap because that was too much of knowledge. I mean, I really feel my cup is overflowing right now. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming, Mudoni. Thank you so much for coming, Pauline. I really cannot take it for granted. And so you've had, guys, men. Now, a man who's looking at me, please take care of yourself. We love you. We value. Hapa kwa Health Diaries tunakupenda sana. Wacha tu. So we really value and we really love you, and please take care of yourself and get someone to share. Yote yamesemwa, I hope umechukua notes kwa sababu Health Diaries si mahali ambapo utasikiliza hiyo podcast na uache iende. You need those notes because they are going to really help you. Yeah, so that is what we had today prepared for you hapa kwa Health Diaries with Sidi Ndune. I am so excited. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for staying till the end. And this is Health Diaries with Sidi Ndune. Bye bye.